Hey there. Let's talk about the new logo change that happened just recently with Cracker Barrel. Now, I'm not sure if you're following this very closely. I certainly wasn't. But I saw this come across my feed and thought I should comment on it since it's got to do with a high-profile logo. All right, let me share the example so you can see what I'm talking about. So here we have on screen left the old country store logo, and then on the other side we have the new and improved Cracker Barrel logo. So whenever a company decides to change something like this, you got to ask yourself why. Now, maybe there's a political reason, maybe not. Maybe there's a financial reason, maybe there is a branding reason, some sort of marketing campaign. There are a variety of reasons why a company might choose to change their logo. But the first question I'm going to ask is not only just why did they do it, but why? If it ain't broke, why try to fix it? Now, I'm not saying I love the original Cracker Barrel logo. I want to talk about what I think is working and maybe what is not. Uh, and I'm not going to say just now whether or not I like the new one. But let's start off with some comments. So the old country logo, it fits the vibe, right? Let's talk about some positives. It fits the vibe of the restaurant. It's kind of an old-fashioned country store. If you've ever been to one, it has that whole gift shop area with all kinds of old country merchandise. And then the whole restaurant itself is full of all different kinds of antiques and so on that you might find in an old barn and an old country store. I keep saying that. Now, looking at the logo itself, you've got this, shall I say, cracker leaning against a barrel. And then you have the text. And then I've always thought maybe it's like a lasso. I'm not sure exactly what the shape is, that bean shape around the outside of the Cracker Barrel. But I always kind of assumed maybe it was a lasso. And the way it's shaped and the way the lettering is designed feels kind of old-fashioned. But frankly, I like the serif typeface. I think it's nice. The two colors, I think fit the brand. It's something that has been there for a long time, so I'd stick with that. But again, you've got this character over on the side. Now, typically, I don't like logos with too much illustration. I do think logos work generally better if they're simpler, but this is kind of a logo and a sign and kind of a full-blown image. So there's a reason behind it. For nostalgia, maybe, you've seen other restaurants that have changed. Certainly thinking of KFC, how it's changed over the years, the way they display the kernel. This definitely is a throwback to the 70s and the 80s when you had more illustrated logos. So those are some things that I comment on about it. Frankly, I do think it's a little too busy with that illustration, but that's where we are. Now, on the side, let's talk about the new and improved one. They hung on to the typeface with some subtle changes. You can see that they ditched the lasso and they went with this kind of hexagon badge type shape. Um, they got rid of the outline, and so now we just have two colors. And actually, on this sample that I have, the logo is a little bit darker. The text is a little bit darker. Uh, Frankly, I like the brown, so I'm not crazy about the dark gray. I also really miss the outline. I feel like you should have a flourish on the edge. Maybe, kind of like some scroll work around the edges with an extra little border around it. Or maybe make it more of like a belt buckle, make it stand out like it's that kind of a shape. But again, I think it's good they didn't ditch the text altogether. Again, there are subtle, subtle changes. The thicknesses of some of the letters are a little bit different, like the C and the A. You can kind of see the shape as a little bit narrowed. They put it on a diet. So that doesn't bother me. I also do like how the lettering fits. Oh, I just noticed something. So do you see how in the original the B pops up a little bit over the A and there's a little bit of a gap? Looks like they corrected that. So they put kind of a horizontal line along the top of the barrel. So the racker sits there on the rack, which I think fits. So they kind of fitted that together a little bit better. So I'm good with that. I like that. So for nostalgia's sake, they kept steak. I had a steak once at Cracker Barrel. Wasn't impressed. So not sure I like the food per se, but For nostalgia's sake, I think it's good that they kept the typeface. And I do like the more geometric outline shape, but I do think it needs an outline. So, what do I say? If I was going to compare these two and decide which is better, um, I'm not going to say the new logo is bad, but I think it's missing some of the charm of the original. So I kind of wish there was an in between. Maybe kind of like Starbucks has evolved their logo over the years, where they went from the mermaid, a really detailed illustration, until now it's more of a face up close. Um, maybe the guy could have a little more prominence in the new logo. Now, maybe that's what they're embarrassed about. Maybe they don't want to emphasize the fact that cracker is a euphemism. So they want to kind of ditch that whole thing, get away from it. That's why I say maybe it's a political decision. But I would say that not in love with the old one, but for nostalgia, I would keep it. Not in love with the new one, but for certain things, I do like it. But I wish they could just embrace their mascot, embrace their world, and just accept what is. So, color in the new one, I think it should go back to brown, add an outline, maybe highlight their mascot and just own it. And don't lose the old country charm. All right. So, those are my thoughts. What do you think? All right. See you around.